Hey, what's going on, Who That Nation? It is yours truly, TJ Jones, the host of the State of the Saints podcast. And thank you so much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast, where we talk New Orleans Saints. Well, Who That Nation, it's the moment we all been waiting for. It is the prediction show of the Week 15 matchup, the New Orleans Saints taking on the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. And all week long, we've heard all of the people in the media talking about this game. This is a very high-profile game. It goes without saying this is game of the week. So many different storylines. We didn't know if Drew Brees was going to play in this game. We now know that Drew Brees is going to start in this game. We look at Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas going on IR. He's going to miss the next 3 games of the season. We got Deontay Harris, the ace kick returner. He's going to be missing the entire season, being on IR. And the Saints go up against a high-powered offense in the Kansas City Chiefs. And the question on everybody's mind is, who is going to win this football game? You know, Who That Nation? I mean, the disrespect the New Orleans Saints have been getting all week long in the media is just absolutely unreal. You know, from quarterback Drew Brees, from the defense, from all of the different things that are going on. Everybody seems to be taking that Philadelphia Eagles game and running with it. And they haven't looked at the fact that the Saints have had one of the best defenses in football for the last few weeks. They had a little bit of a setback versus the Philadelphia Eagles going up against a quarterback whom they never seen. And they only could speculate how he was going to approach the game. But now it's no secret. The Kansas City Chiefs, the high-powered offense that everybody's talking about, and everybody's talking as if the Kansas City Chiefs are just, this unstoppable force that nobody can penetrate, move, bend, or break. But I do look at the Kansas City Chiefs. I got a lot of respect for them. I'm not going to sit up here and act as if, the compliments aren't warranted because of what they've done. Led by Patrick Mahomes, the star quarterback, the Super Bowl MVP, the league MVP at one time or another, who can do some amazing things with his arm. I mean, they got receivers like Sammy Watkins, Nico Hartmans. You got Tyreek Hill. You got Travis Kelce, who can also pass catch. And you got Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who's a former LSU Tiger, which a lot of Tiger fans are probably familiar with. And you got Le'Veon Bell. So they got so many different talented players offensively. And defensively, of course, you got Chris Jones, a guy that's a physical force that can get to your quarterback. And you got Tyrann Mathieu. You got the young cornerback Snead out there as well, man. You got Sorensen out there at safety, a guy that can, intercept the ball and take it to the house. So the Kansas City Chiefs have a lot of talent on this football team. But so do the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints have talent as well. It's not like the Saints are, the Cincinnati Bengals or the New York Jets. The New Orleans Saints are a really good structured organization with really good coaching and really good players. And I know that we've seen the Philadelphia Eagles run for 200 yards on the Saints, and we've seen that, in the first half, the Saints secondary was, getting a little bit of, getting it handed to them. I just call it for what it is. It was getting handed to them. But in the second half, we seen the Philadelphia Eagles only score 7 points. And it was something that a lot of callers were telling me and saying to me that I didn't really pay attention to. A lot of people asked me before that Philadelphia Eagles game, do you think the Saints were looking past the Philadelphia Eagles to play the Kansas City Chiefs? And I kindly said no, because I felt like the New Orleans Saints were kind of past all this. I thought they did a really good job, really buying into this whole 24-hour rule that they have. After you win a game, you just decompress. I mean, it's over, on to the next. But it seems like, they really got caught with their pants down, if I can just use that analogy or that example. I just feel like they were a team that wasn't expecting for the Philadelphia Eagles to go out there and play with a lot of heart. They thought they were just going to get that dub, win the division, and on to Kansas City. But I feel like the Kansas City Chiefs are going to have the Saints' undivided attention. And these are one of the games that the Saints rise to the occasion. These are one of those games where the Saints don't have to worry about, are they going to be up for a game like this? Anytime the Saints feel like they're going up against a team that a lot of people consider a measuring stick, they handle their business. They play extremely competitive. We've seen it when they played the Rams a couple years ago. We seen it when they played the 49ers. So we seen them when they played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this season. So the New Orleans Saints, when they feel like people are disrespecting them, when they feel like people are not giving them a chance, that's when they go out there and they play their best football. So the question is, who is going to win this game? I think the New Orleans Saints are going to win this football game. And I think the New Orleans Saints are going to win this football game by more points than people even imagine. See, people just think the Kansas City Chiefs are just this unstoppable force once again. They feel like just because Patrick Mahomes can do all these different talented throws like no-look passes and throwing the ball down the field on his back foot and throwing it behind his back and throwing it with his left hand. Once again, this isn't the circus, folks. This isn't Barnum and Bailey. This isn't Circus Olay. This is the Universal Circus. This is the NFL. And it's about good coaching. It's about good technique. A lot of the things that Patrick Mahomes do, he can throw those passes on rollouts, and a lot of those plays are improvised, by him using his legs sometimes to move out of the pocket to throw the ball down the field. I feel like if the Saints can actually control him and make sure that they neutralize him, make sure that he's throwing for the pocket more times than not, and the cornerbacks and the safeties actually do their job in holding up, I think they'll be fine. But the New Orleans Saints cannot have a stinker up front like they did last week. I mean, they got little to no pressure on Jalen Hurts. I mean, the offensive line of the Philadelphia Eagles was punking them boys. You know what I'm saying? You got Trey Hendrickson out there. You got Marcus Davenport. You got Sheldon Rankins. You got Shy Tuttle. You got Cam Jordan. You got all these different talented guys out there that should be able to get to the quarterback. And it's a shame that these guys didn't get to the quarterback last week when the offensive line that they went up against changed the offensive line group 12 different times in the season. And now people are talking about, the Kansas City Chiefs are going to be playing the New Orleans Saints with their third string offensive lineman, and he's going to be lined up against Cam Jordan. Look, I've seen this movie before. Look, you can never underestimate the heart of a champion. If that offensive line go out there and he makes up in his mind, you're not going to touch Patrick, he's going to do everything within his power to make that not happen. And not to mention, that didn't move me at all. I heard the same thing when the Saints played the Raiders at the beginning of the season when the Raiders was having offensive line issues and they barely even got to Derek Carr. Then I looked at the same issues with Philadelphia and they couldn't even get to Jalen Hurts. So I'm not buying into this whole, this second, third string guy, because if a guy goes out there and he plays hard, 9 times out of 10, it's still going to be hard for the New Orleans Saints. That has been proven. Also with the linebackers, man, the linebackers of the New Orleans Saints, they got to be a little bit more disciplined. Last week, Quan Alexander, I mean, he tried to, cheat the gap, so to speak. And the next day, Miles Sanders ran for an 82-yard touchdown. You got to make sure that you're actually doing your job. And that is the things that got the Saints beat earlier in the season, because guys were trying to do way too much out there instead of them just doing their job. Quan Alexander, I mean, he has been a godsend to the Saints. That was a mistake. He also made up for it, forcing a fumble with Jalen Hurts late in the game to get the Saints back into the game and make it a little bit more competitive and made it down to the wire. So I know that he's going to rise to the occasion. But you got to make sure that you are disciplined in this game. You got to make sure that you are doing some very sound tackling. In the game against the Philadelphia Eagles, the Saints weren't tackling very well, especially in the first half. You got to make sure when you get your hands on a Kansas City Chiefs receiver, tight end, or running back, you got to make sure that he goes to the ground. Another thing is stopping the run. Stopping the run is very, very important. Now teams think that they're going to be able to run on the New Orleans Saints every single week because, now the stories is, has the Saints running defense been exposed? Whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you look at what Jalen Hurts was doing with his feet, and then you count for that Miles Sanders 82-yard touchdown, which was, was a defensive whiff. You got to look at things and put it into perspective. Miles Sanders, I think he had like 102 yards. So, after that, he only got about 20 plus yards, man, 21, 22 yards. So it's not like he was just out there like getting those yards in chunks. He got mostly on one big play. Now, if you want to talk about with Jalen Hurts, I mean, I think that was the Saints' fault. And a lot of the stuff that he did was mostly in the first half. So I look at it from that perspective. The New Orleans Saints got to make sure that they're stopping the run. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who can catch the ball out of the backfield. The linebackers got to make sure that when he catches the ball, you got to make sure that you're right there to tackle him. Also, Le'Veon Bell is probably going to get some carries. He's one of those guys that's a very patient runner. He waits for the offensive line to, make their blocks, and he try to find holes in between. You got to make sure that we're stopping him as well. And once again, like, you got to make sure that you're being aggressive with these wide receivers. If it was me, I would put Marshawn Lattimore on a receiver like Sammy Watkins, and I would put Janoris Jenkins on Tyreek Hill. I think both of these guys, complement each other, because Marshawn Lattimore, he's one of those guys that can go up against your bigger receiver. He can be physical with them, and he's a really good tackler. And then you have somebody like Janoris Jenkins who can guard some of those speedy receivers and stuff like that. And also, you just got to make sure that you have somebody back there to guard, Tyreek Hill, to make sure that he doesn't get behind you. So this is going to be one of those games where Marcus Williams is definitely going to have to step up and do his thing. And also, I would try to add a little bit of DJ Swearinger in this game right here. You know what I'm saying? Like, one of those games where, we know what DJ Swearinger can bring to the table, man. He's one of those guys that he has some good ball skills himself, but he's a downhill guy too. He's one of those guys that can put a lick on somebody, and make them second guess about running across the middle or catching that pass. So I definitely would think that somebody like DJ Swearinger would be in this game. I think the Saints are going to be full of intensity in this game. I think that this is going to be one of those games where people get mad because they wonder, like, what has Saints team been all season long? I think that that's going to be the case defensively. But most importantly, man, you just got to make sure that you guard Travis Kelce. I will put Malcolm Jenkins on him and C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Just got to make sure that, he's going to get his catches. I mean, this guy has a big catch radius, and he's one of those guys that no matter how you guard him, I mean, they tend to get the ball. I mean, and people are comparing the whole Darren Waller thing at the beginning of the season, but the Saints are a completely different defense than what they were at the beginning of the season. So I do feel like the New Orleans Saints are going to win this football game. But before I give you my score, I'm going to go ahead and shift to the offensive side of football and focus on Drew Brees. Drew Brees, the quarterback of the Saints, is now back after missing 4 games with 11 fractured ribs. And people think that maybe he should have not been playing in this game. Maybe he should have waited for the Minnesota game, or maybe even the Carolina Panthers game, in order for him to come back. Look, Drew Brees has been chomping at the bit for weeks in order for him to come back. He's been very antsy. He's been very focused, on trying to get himself well so he can get back out on the football field. To me, do I feel like they're rushing him back, or he should have waited just a couple more weeks? Absolutely. But we know the warrior spirit that Drew Brees has. We know what he brings to the table. We know the type of offense the Saints run when he is indeed in the lineup. So, Drew Brees being in the game just makes the offense even more better. I know you're missing Michael Thomas, but if you look at it in a certain perspective, Michael Thomas and Drew Brees rarely even played with each other this entire season. I don't think they even played with each other, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe like, I think that Tampa Bay game and a little bit of that 49ers game, but like, they haven't really played with each other for the excess of maybe 2 or 3 times this season. So both of these guys kind of, been out of the lineup when each other has been in the game. So Michael Thomas is out. He's on IR. I felt like they rushed him back anyway. You're dealing with an ankle injury. These ankle injuries, they're kind of, they're kind of funny. 1 week you might feel like nothing's wrong with your ankle. Then the next thing you know, somebody roll on your ankle, you catch a pass and come down awkwardly, come down wrong. You know what I'm saying? Bend your ankle just a tad bit. And the next thing you know, you sitting out again. So that wasn't a really good idea to me from the Saints organization trying to get him back. And I understand why he was back, because a lot of those games he was served as a decoy. They used him as a decoy in order for him to, get that double coverage so all those other receivers can get open, which I can respect that. I thank him for being a good teammate, but now we see that we're going to be without Michael Thomas for at least 3 weeks, and hopefully he'll be ready for that game. If the Saints play in a wild card round, which it looks like this is a foregone conclusion, especially the fact that the Packers end up beating the Carolina Panthers on Saturday night. So it looks like the Saints are going to have a home playoff game in the wild card round of the playoffs. So definitely going to need number 13 in this game. And also Deontay Harris, I feel like he is very important to what the Saints do too. Him catching those, catching those punts, catching the kick returns and shifting the field. Him being out on IR is huge to me because, even though Tommy Lee Lewis has done a good job receiving the ball, knowing his best to try to make sure you can make people miss. I mean, he's nowhere near on the level of a Deontay Harris or even a Marquez Callaway of that matter. So, but he does do a good job. I think the Saints are going to miss Deontay Harris. Hopefully he can be back during playoff time as well. But the New Orleans Saints do still have some weapons on the offensive side of the ball that Drew Brees can utilize. For example, Alvin Kamara, who I probably feel like is the happiest man in the world that Drew Brees is coming back, because he hasn't really been part of the passing game. And then we all know what he can do in the screen game. The screen game basically has been non-existent when Taysom Hill has been in the lineup. So Taysom Hill made Alvin Kamara almost look like, he was just normal, you know what I'm saying? Like just an everyday running back. And he wasn't able to utilize some of his special traits. But now we have Drew Brees coming back. We know Drew Brees is going to utilize Alvin Kamara. And we know that sometimes when Michael Thomas is out, we know that Drew Brees, gives Alvin Kamara the ball quite a bit. We see games where Alvin Kamara will have like 12, 13 catches. So I do feel like the Saints are going to utilize Alvin Kamara in this game, in the passing game as well as the running game. And also Emmanuel Sanders. In years past, if Michael Thomas would have went down, we would have been on some wars be what's going to happen to this team. But Emmanuel Sanders, who is a really good receiver, a guy that can get open, a guy that can be a number one receiver, and a guy that's always constantly bailing out, quarterbacks. I mean, we see Taysom Hill throw almost like a punt to him. You know what I'm saying? He came down with the football. We seen Taysom Hill throw the ball short, and Emmanuel Sanders caught the ball over a receiver head to score a touchdown, even though that play was called back. We seen him, catch the pass last week against the Philadelphia Eagles, with one hand when the cornerback pulled his hand down. So Emmanuel Sanders is a really good playmaker. And, in years past, I'll be concerned. But now that we have Emmanuel Sanders, I'm confident that the Saints will be able to utilize him. And also Jared Cook. Jared Cook, he came back to the land of the living last week. He had some down games. He was dropping some passes. But Jared Cook really stepped up in the game last week. And he really did a really good job at catching the ball and also just in the blocking game as well. So Jared Cook should be fully involved in this game. And hopefully we can get Adam Troutman in this game, who is emerging as a really good pass blocker. If you notice, you haven't really seen Josh Hill that much, in the passing game or on the offense ever since Adam Troutman has developed as a pass blocker, which could be bad news for Josh Hill. But I feel like you need to get Adam Troutman more involved. I think this guy can make some plays. I mean, we're in week 15, so I don't really consider this guy being a rookie anymore. I mean, especially late in the season, I think the Saints need to get this guy more involved. I mean, he showed you that he can be, a grinder. He can be the guy that does the dirty work. So reward this guy with a couple passes his way. And also, you got the Saints activating some receivers, off the practice squad. Again, we got Lil Jordan Humphreys, a guy who we haven't seen all season long, which I don't know why, but he has been activated off the practice squad. We got Juwan Johnson, who is also off the practice squad, who played last week, had a catch. We also, I think Will Clapp has also been activated in this game as well. So the New Orleans Saints, even though you have Michael Thomas, who is down, Deontay Harris, who is down, you still got some guys that have been around the organization for a while, like Lil Jordan Humphreys, that understands the offense. And Juwan Johnson, he's caught 2 passes in each game that he's played in. So that means that people are looking his way. So he's a big physical guy. So I don't know if you're going to throw the ball to him 3 and 4 times, but you can get him involved in the game. And hopefully one of these guys that come off the practice squad can step up. The Saints are also going to have to run the football in this game. The Kansas City Chiefs defense when it comes to stopping the run has been suspect this season. The Saints should be able to run the football against the Kansas City Chiefs. Notice I said they should be able to run the football against the Kansas City Chiefs. They should get Latavius Murray more involved. He had 4 carries last week, which was a doggone shame. I don't understand why they don't want to use Latavius Murray, but this is one of those games where you should use him. And you also should use Alvin Kamara in this game to run between the tackles as well. The offensive line, we don't need We don't need an offensive line like we saw last week. We don't need an offensive line that was getting, ran over and guys on the ground getting punked. We don't need that. We don't need that type of energy. We don't need that type of energy in the Who Dat Nation. We don't want that type of energy in the Who Dat Nation. You got to make sure that you're protecting Drew Brees, okay? Like I said at the beginning of the show, Drew Brees is not fully healthy. He is not fully healthy. So you got to make sure that you're protecting this guy. I mean, you got to put a wall around Drew Brees. You got to make sure that nobody touches him. And also the offensive play calling should reflect that. He should be able to get the ball out of his hands relatively quickly, which Drew Brees does anyway. You don't really see 7-step drops from the New Orleans Saints. Most of the stuff is like close intermediate and getting the ball out of his hand quickly. So the New Orleans Saints offensive line have got to protect Drew Brees and make sure that the Kansas City Chiefs defense do not get to him and cause him any type of setbacks, okay? Because we all know, once again, those ribs are not 100%. If anything, Drew Brees is probably like around 80 to 85%. I mean, he is not 100% at all. So him being in this game, I understand why he's doing it. We all know from what Sean Payton has told us that this is his last season, and going up against Patrick Mahomes probably is on the bucket list of Drew Brees on his way out of the door. So it should be a good game, man. This is the first time these two guys have went up against one another. One guy, is considered the future of the National Football League, Patrick Mahomes, and the other guy has been a class act for the last 20 years and been one of the best quarterbacks, not just in the NFL, but of all time, despite the media or anybody else wanting to give this guy his credit. So the question is, what's going to be the score of this game? I got the Saints winning this game by a score of 30-20. I got the Saints winning this game 30-20. I feel like the New Orleans Saints defense is going to step up in this game. And I'm not buying into what, that all that Kansas City high-powered offense type stuff that just makes it seem like the Kansas City Chiefs are just going to go out there and just, have their way with the Saints. They have a really good offense, but it's not like they're just an unstoppable team. I believe in the New Orleans Saints. I believe in their coaching staff, and I know this team is going to be ready, especially since everybody's told them that they're back against the wall. And once again, nobody is picking them to win this football game. I got the Saints winning this football game, and even though they won't win this football game, sadly, it's not going to convince the naysayers that this is a good football team. But I want to say thank you very much for checking out the State of the Saints podcast. I really do appreciate it. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com, search The State of the Saints podcast. Also, facebook.com, search The State of the Saints podcast. Previous episodes available on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Anchor FM. I'll be back with you later to give you the halftime report of the Saints versus Kansas City Chiefs game, and of course, the post-game show after the Saints versus Chiefs Week 15 matchup. Till next time, all I got to say